What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Buds, Bros, and Superheroes. If it's your first time coming to hang out, let me tell you what's up so we can all get down on the episode. Buds, Bros, and Superheroes is not only the name of the show, it's the sections of the conversation we're going to be having today. So right off the bat, let me switch things up by introducing our guest right at the very beginning rather than trying to bury the lead. Danny G is back for another episode, guys. Please, sir, say hello.
Thank you so much for having me back. I'm so glad to be here. Live this time with you. Better quality for everybody. We have a lot to chat about. Yeah, thanks so much for having me again, man. Absolutely excited to be doing this. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. So speaking of what we have to chat about today, like I was talking about, in the bud section of the conversation today, we're going to be bullshitting. We both picked up some really tasty buds that we have been trying, sampling, and sharing with one another before we got this recording going. In the bro section, I'm going to ask you, sir, about some pet peeves. If you have any, what they are, we'll find a bullshit of that. And that, wait for it, because it will perfectly lead us into the superhero section. Wait till it's a good one. It's a good segue, trust me. Where we're going to talk about the Suicide Squad. So that's the brand new one with James Gunn at the helm of the director's chair. So with all that in mind, guys, I hope everybody stays until the end of the episode. Like, share, subscribe, all those fun things that you do on the episode. But with all of that out of the way, we can get right into the show proper, which we always do in the bud section. So you came bearing gifts. You came with quite a few different things, and the one I want to talk about is the one that we just put inside this monster bowl and crushed, which makes sense because it's a bowl. And what is it called?
Oh man, this one's called Lucky Charms. This one's from Pharmaceutical RX, one of the grower processors out towards Pittsburgh area, right out of Farrell, Pennsylvania. So that's really, really far away from here. It's about 5 hours, I would say. These folks are using an organic process, making things a little bit different than a lot of the rest of the state. It is super expensive at $75 an eighth, but as you can tell, this stuff, it kicks the bricks for sure. It is definitely some high octane fuel. Absolutely tasty. Just like you said, it's really neat.
First and foremost, you have to really truly imagine that it does smell like a bowl of cereal, or at least maybe not the full aroma, maybe a bowl that had cereal in it and now it holds weed in it. But pretty much, like, at the end of the day, that's what it smells like to me.
Cereal milk straight up. Yep, I get it. I get it real thick off of this for sure.
And then it's brilliant enough to also keep that during the smoke where you smack your lips for a little bit. And it is a little sweet still. It does stick through it. And then to go right to the effect of it, like I had only one hit. And yes, we've been smoking for a little bit before that, but I feel that one still pretty well. And it is a nice wake me up before you go kind of hit. It was good.
It's particular. It's a very, looking at the terps itself, has a helping of limonene. That would be the bursting of happiness that you're talking about right off the jump. Followed by linalool, one of my favorites. That one's the relaxing side of it. So it keeps you happy, but able to focus a little bit. Get you doing what you need to do on a happy note. It's one of their harmony sections, so they kind of assure you that you'll be able to enjoy this. If you take it on a lighter dose, you'll enjoy this in a fashion where you could be able to calmly do what you need to do throughout the day, but still focus on doing it, which is absolutely one of my favorite things about cannabis, is jumping into each little thing and seeing how it could benefit your day.
And this is one of my absolute favorite things about having you over, is you were just saying words that I was like, okay, say more of these. I recently had Daniel from the Reasons I'm Broke podcast, a good friend of the show. We're always hopping back and forth. Go check them out. But he was asking me about some weed stuff, and I got to feel like you just did. He was like, indica and sativa. And I was like, well, what I understand is that this is what happens. And he's like, interesting, I learned something. I was like, cool, we're doing it. The show is working. Like, that was the point. And now with you on here, so go through that one more time of what you were looking for, and just explain to any listeners and myself what exactly you just said and what you were looking for there.
So for me, as a person that likes to, I search for, what the patient actually needs. And for myself right now, I just want to make myself feel happier as a person. Living in Scranton, sometimes it is rather depressing. I work out here, but, sometimes not every day is sunshine. And to me, picking up some cannabis could be that little bit of sunshine. So I search for specific terps. Limonene tends to give you that happy boost of energy that, like, not too jolting, but more of a happy, happy side that you can really just feel the uplift off of. That's one sativa terp that I really enjoy the most. For me, I also enjoy caryophyllene, and this does have a lot of caryophyllene in it. That's the euphoric side. I love that tingly sensation that cannabis can give you after a long day at work, after one of your most stressful moments in life. Sometimes things come at a sudden moment and you don't even know it, and you need some quick relief, and that's why I find it through flower the easiest. And searching for terps, finding the right amount of THC for me, because I do like a little higher amount, but nothing too crazy. It doesn't even have to be 30. This one right now is only about 24%, but if I stack this up against something that is 32% with no terps, you're going to feel this sensation stronger than that. I guarantee it, you will, because there are a lot out there, people that search for specifically just high THC, and those people are also the people that come back the quickest, because if you're searching for that only, you're only going to get that sensation for a short amount of time, as opposed to it being carried through with the terpenes, and that really carries your high. So, yeah, I definitely look for specific things: the limonene, the linalool, the caryophyllene. Like I said, linalool it's more lavender. Everything, all these are found in naturally, like we spoke in our first discussion. So, yeah, I follow through on a lot of these. I follow through for the cannabinoids, which is your THC, your CBG, your CBD, and then I follow through for the terpenes. So what I find to be the best balance for me might not work for everybody, but I'm able to find out these specific terpenes or specific cannabinoids that would work best for the patient.
So the cannabinoids affect your cannabinoidal system?
Your endocannabinoid system.
Thank you. So what do then the terpenes affect? Or is it just a more punch with the...
Yeah, the terpenes are actually more that punch that you're looking for. So the terpenes actually really give you the sensation of certain things that you're looking for, and can offer more of a therapeutic advantage for the patient. So finding these particular terpenes can be aidful for cancer, can be aidful for depression, anxiety, list of mental health illnesses, gastrointestinal illnesses. There's actually there's a little bit of everything for everybody. Even arthritis in particular. I'm not telling you need to sit there and smoke weed, but you could sit there and actually get a nice topical or a transdermal for yourself, a nice lotion, and just apply it to, locally to what you actually need help with. Like I said, there's something for everybody for sure. So it's all about listening to the patient, hearing what they need, and then tackling it from there.
So for anybody who wants more of you on Instagram, like more reviews and stuff like that, you got a page going that I wanted to talk about. Definitely let you drop that name. I know we did in our first episode, but things have changed. Followers have gone up and big things are happening. Please go ahead and gush about that for a little bit.
Yeah, thank you so much. Northeast PA _Canna is going to be my handle on Instagram. Right now, I'm running over on 800 followers, which is real exciting. I've had my page for about a year. I'm coming up on over 220 posts, I believe, on reviews. Lately, still mainly flower, and I'm doing it for the people. I want them to see what they're buying before they buy. I want to give them an honest opinion on it. I don't really bullshit. As you can see on some of the posts lately, they've been pretty harsh. On some of them, I've been critiquing pretty hard, because these people need to realize, just because right now my main concern as a reviewer is just because the amount of people coming in, the supply is really high. So we actually have taken a toll on the quality, because the supply being so high, they need to ramp up production. That's my main concern as a reviewer, is giving people an honest opinion on, especially with something ramping up as much as it has been. Every facility is growing. in size from 40,000 plus to 200,000 plus square feet, which is massive. So they're actually pumping out larger numbers than ever, and they're going to continue to do so. And the quality is taking a toll on it. So right now, I just want to continue to do that. I'm progressing towards 1,000 followers, and I'm going to be doing a giveaway. So I'm going to be having a couple swag items for everybody, because not everybody has the chance to get them, even though they're spending so much money on it, as you know. It's rather expensive in this state. So trying to just do a lot of things for the people still.
That's awesome. You're awesomely generous for doing that. Make sure to go ahead and subscribe over there. Your name kind of brought up something that I was talking about with Popco on an episode before. So you said you're NEPA? Or
Northeast PA.
Okay.
Northeast PA.
All right, that's going to lead me into the question. Have you heard when people pronounce NEPA into one word, and how would you say it?
I would say NEPA.
Okay, that was one of our things between NEPA and NEPA, and I said NEPA, and he was like, fuck you, and I was like, okay, thank you. And then the next one, our city to the south starts, it's got two names in it. Okay.
Wilkes-Barre.
Bear. So you're a bear person.
Yeah.
See, I'm a bar person. Anybody who hasn't, go ahead and listen to the Popco project. We talked for a while about this specifically. In Wilkes-Barre, Wilkes-Barre, or Wilkes-Barre, you're correct all the way around in saying it. It's a very strange thing that I learned when I moved here. And I also learned, like, have you seen Inglourious Bastards?
The film with Brad Pitt?
Yeah.
Yes.
So Michael Fassbender is in a bar, and he's having to get Nazis believe that he's a Nazi, and the scene is very tense, and he just about does. Yes, you did it yourself. And he orders 3 of something by putting up his pinky, his middle finger, and his ring finger. I don't know why I said them out of sequence there, but he says 3, almost while making an okay backwards. And that's when motherfuckers are bang, 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 bang. You know, that's when it ends, because he didn't do it correctly. Nazis, or Germans, I should say, are taught to do it with the index finger, the middle finger, and the ring finger outwards, like a 3. Why I'm bringing this up is, around these parts, that is your Wilkes-Barre, Bear, and Berry. So, like, I would say, like, where do you go to school? I say, oh, I go to Wilkes University in Wilkes-Barre. And they're like, oh, you're not from around here, are you? And I'd be like, how did you know? And they're like, because it's not Barry, you dumbass, or whatever it is. And lots of people say it different around here. It's fucking funny. It was definitely something to get used to in this area.
The lingo out here is a lot to get used to, for sure. It is ever changing. Mine's not the same as everyone's out here, for sure. Old Forge is very particular. Wilkes-Barre, like you said, the name of everything, the lingo out here is insane. So
one last shout out to the Beard Owl podcast. I found them just scrolling through Instagram, where it was funny. They posted a picture and it said they were from Wilkes-Barre. And I was like, how the fuck do you guys pronounce it? And they reassured me that the way to say it is, in fact, Barry. What do you think? What was yours? I forget already.
I said bear.
You said bear.
Yeah.
I say bar. So it just continues with the bullshit of it could be any one.
You want to know why I back it up? Barre. Bear. Bear. Just bear, not Barry.
I agree that at the end of the day, Barry line's in third place, but I also see how people get bar. Because if you were to spell Barre and especially put a line over the 2 R's, it's done. But I could see how, like, over time, people are like, fuck it, I'm not drawing that line anymore. It's just bar. Especially, too, when out of the 2 of them, Wilkes went on to make the college, and bar's just kind of there by accident.
It would be suitable with how many are there.
Finally, the one last thing in this that I wanted to bring up was kind of as we were talking about supply and demand. We were talking about in a previous episode as well about Amazon getting into weed. And how do you feel about that? Because that was my number one thing. If they're going to see the demand, and it's especially when it's recreational, it's going to be through the roof. Everybody's going to want a shit ton quickly. And I feel like that might lead to some issues. What are your thoughts?
I think what's sad about someone as large as them getting involved would be them taking a lot of jobs from smaller people trying to make it big. I think this is the land of opportunity for sure. There are ways that you can progress yourself and progress your career. And I think that one way would be to have that snubbed out would easily have a conglomerate such as Amazon come in and say, hey, we're doing the same exact thing as this average Joe is doing, but we could do it better. We could do it cheaper. We could do it more fast because we have the money to pump behind it. That's one part of me that's super concerned. There's also a part of me that says, okay, now you're going to make it better or easy for people that are maybe in rural areas that can't always go get their cannabis. I'm all about that because I've been out to Wyoming. I've been out to Colorado where these parts you have to travel to go get your stuff. I don't want to hop on the road for 100 miles.
You're fucking smart, dude. Didn't even think about that.
So I'm sitting there and saying that's a great way for the elderly to get their stuff. It's a great way for people that have been, really, really suffering throughout their years and to easily get their stuff. So yeah, I'm on board with it too. But that big part of me, in the large cities where the urban areas are, that people already have things implemented, it's going to be tough for me to say, yeah, go ahead and do it there. I would say the people that need it the most right now would be people out here, people in the rural areas, even though Scranton, Wilkes-Barre area is urban per se, it's very scattered. It is very far to go some places, so it would be nice to have delivery, for sure. So I think the delivery of goods through Amazon would assure safety, but again, no one likes to see these big corporate industries taking a big hand and sticking it in there and making even more money than they already have. So if they're going to be doing it, they better be doing it for the right reason. They better be giving back to the people. That's all I could say.
And that would be a nice thing to say, but I'm sorry. Just there's me, and that's not going to happen. It's going to go in a billionaire astronaut's pocket so he can go on to become closer to fucking Lex Luthor / what's his name, Dr. Evil as he can be. I think I said I'm worried about it on two levels of either what we were talking about, supply and demand. So they're going to cut corners to make sure it gets grown faster without care. There's no love to the plant. And B, they're probably going to make people suffer to be like, hey, you're working a 24-hour shift to make sure that these don't reach humidity or whatever the fuck. I don't know. But let's hope not. I'd rather end on your sentiment of like, let's hope it's for the people. But at the same time, let's hope they're riding unicorns when they do it too.
I could say if they're going to be growing, things are going to be ugly. If they're just delivering, things could be great. If they're growing, I think, like you just said, that's a lot of hands in the bowl. That's a lot of hands trying to tend to plants. That's all facilities out here are 24 hours per se because they have security there. But the way they would run them, yeah, the way you said it, they'd be running them just to have grows, doing it overnight. They'd be stressing the plants. So yeah, big corporate MSO grows are scary sometimes for sure. And hearing Amazon trying to actually cultivate, I'm not a big fan about that either. No, for delivery, yes. For that, no.
Perfect. One more time, though, for anybody who wants to get some more on you and your reviewing, drop that Instagram name.
Northeast PA _Canna, CANNA. Yeah, go peep it out. There's a lot of reviews on there, a lot of photos. Just upgraded a jar a little bit from one of my folks down in Plymouth meeting. Sent me a new jar, so I got to, I have a lot of cool stuff to check out. So Northeast PA _Canna, CANNA. Thanks again for that. Yeah.
No, absolutely. With that, though, we are going to close on out of the bud section and get into the bro section. Entering into the bro section, I kind of tasked you today. All right, so actually I should probably start this a little bit over. Today, this morning, I went to the chiropractor. I love the chiropractor. And I was laying on the little rolly massage bed thing. And it's my zen time. It's really, really nice, dude. And it just goes and it vibrates and it goes from the base of your neck to like pretty much the top of your ass crack. Maybe just one more down, like in between butt cheeks. Just rolling you like this. And it's supposedly so when you get in with the chiropractor, you're a little bit looser. Anyway, it's almost like a mini massage. And it takes about 30 minutes. So it's a while that you're laying on there getting it done. And it is a nice, quote unquote, me time experience. Meanwhile, across the way, there's a fuck on his speakerphone talking about what he's doing. And he's not doing it well, either speaking into the phone correctly or the person on the other end isn't A, good at listening, B, doesn't speak English as their first language. Nope, there is no C. I can't think of another one. But anyway, it's like, I'm laying on a table. It's a table. I'm laying on a table. I'm at the and I was just like, this might be my biggest pet peeve ever. Thank you for the very long introduction, ladies and gentlemen, and anyone else who has entered this bro section of what's your biggest pet peeve?
All right, thinking about this, because you brought this up to me earlier today at work. You were like, think about it. And I was like, all right, I thought about it. I was thinking there, sitting there, thinking there. My biggest pet peeve is if I go into any toilet, any bathroom, okay, and there's no two things, like everything needs to be full. That's my biggest pet peeve. Everything needs to be full. I need to have soap for my hands. I need to have toilet paper for my butt. I need to have either a dryer or some napkins or something to dry my hands and open the door. That would be one of my biggest things. I think the bathroom, I have a big bathroom thing. Everything needs to, I have a big etiquette on it, and everything just needs to be kind of crisp. So having a stock of things in the bathroom would be like one of my craziest things. I want to make sure everything's good, because I can't tell you how embarrassing it is to walk into a bathroom and not have toilet paper, to walk into a bathroom and all you have to do is rinse your hands off with water because maybe just wiped your butt or something. You got to wash your hands. It's weird to get this way, but like that's my biggest
thing, and it just nothing comes out.
Nothing
maybe
comes out.
Like you don't even get the kind of leftover one. It's literally bone dry.
Bone dry, and
I've had that happen.
And you're like, what am I gonna do?
Hand sanitizers. Thankfully, back fully in stores.
Right, thankfully, right, finally. Hey, I don't have to go get the fruity scented ones anymore. I could get the true things.
Just I want 99.9% effectiveness.
Yeah, that 0.1 ain't gonna get me.
Have you ever, unfortunately, had the experience of going and doing your business sitting down in a stall to realize you don't have toilet paper? So you have to pull your junk up over the front part of your business, but not the back, because we don't want anything left behind. Open the door, peek your head out, look both ways, and then shuffle into the one next door to pray that one has had toilet paper.
That has never happened to me in a public stall. However, I can't tell you how many times in a work setting I have had to text an employee, yo, I need some toilet paper. And actually, like, sometimes you're sitting there for a second because no one's ever on the phone sometimes. But yeah, it's embarrassing. So honestly, my biggest pet peeve, make sure that everything's stocked. And if you're using the bathroom last, check everything before you leave, and if something's not full, let someone know that can fill it, have them fill it, so the next person doesn't have to feel that embarrassment. That's my biggest pet peeve. Just fill your toiletries in your bathroom.
It is a good one, but I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to hold stead with talking on the speakerphone in public. I can't think of a reasonable reason to actually use a speakerphone almost ever. Maybe, and this goes a little personal, like if you're talking to, I don't know, like your mom or something, she's been going for like 20 minutes or something, and your ear needs a break because it's all hot. That one makes sense, but I couldn't understand why this person chose to have this conversation while laying on the bed and then had to describe what was happening via, I think there was even FaceTime, and that's a whole nother level of like, what the fuck is going on? You're in public.
You have such a good point. I actually live with someone that uses only the speakerphone all the time. And honestly,
I'm going to snipe somebody out before I even meet them. She's going to fucking hate me.
Goodness, it drives me up the wall. You're absolutely right. Now that you're talking about it, I'm like sitting here cringing because I live with someone that uses a speakerphone all the time, and it is a lot. It is a lot. You have to hear their conversation with anybody and everybody. And then sometimes they expected you to hear in on conversation because they're setting plans or something. Small things like that, that's really in depth. But yeah, crazy stuff like that. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of them. You don't have to hear anyone else's conversation. I agree.
And before this gets us into hot waters, how about we switch this up? And my actual favorite pet peeve, or my number one pet peeve indeed, is people who park in the fire lane. That shit bothers me as well. If you have people parking in a parking lot and they're in the fire lane, Why are you doing that? Don't you see the fire lane? Like, I can't park. Nobody's supposed to park there. Have you ever seen somebody park in the fire lane?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Sitting in the fire lane, parking in the fire lane, double parking.
Yeah, what the fuck does that technically mean? It means that you're just parked in the street, right?
Parked in the street. You're taking up you're taking up the space on the street, and anything additional towards the curbside.
Such a weird name of double parking.
Double parking. It happens so often right here in Center City, Scranton. Whenever I'm driving right through work to get to work, it's always like, you see people getting their Starbucks in the morning, and they're sitting there. You'll see people parked right on the side of the street. Oh, that spot's taken up. I'm gonna park right next to this car right here and put my four ways on. And then I'm going to walk out and go get my coffee real quick. And if anyone else it wants to hell with them, you could drive right around me because you're not hitting my car. You're absolutely right. That would be another thing that does drive me up the wall.
The fuck is that about? That, like, just a PSA for anybody and everybody. Putting your four ways on means that your vehicle is broken or braking. So if you're on the road and it's going and you're going, but it stops working, like you're going to glide, that's the time to put them on. Once you are broken on the side of the road, that's a good time to put them on. To indicate that at any other time kind of seems like a fuck you to almost every other human being that you're sharing the world with, especially the road with, on that particular moment.
Especially when it comes to parking. If you put your four ways on in your car, your car is completely fine. The only times you should be using your four ways are snow, fog.
That's another good point. Yeah, fuck yes, you're right. It
Rain.
doesn't have to be braking. If you can't see in front of you, you can. Yeah, good point.
Put them on so people can see you. But if you're sitting there trying to park, oh my goodness, get the hell out of my way. I agree totally. Oh, that's not one thing I'm a fan of either.
I'm sorry.
No, because it always happens on my way to work, and then I'm always swerving, then I'm nailing a pothole right in Scranton, you know?
And just to continue on with this, anybody who doesn't know or anybody who's trying to have a good laugh about road rage, there is a device inside everybody's car to the left of their steering wheel which goes up and down to indicate left and right. It is a signal that allows people to know when you turn. It is a turn signal. When you want to turn off the road, you could flip that motherfucker on and let me know when you're going to do that shit.
Wait. You're from New Jersey, right?
I am.
You know what a turn signal is.
Oh, fuck you. So don't start way there. I'm serious. We know how to drive. Now, I will say we drive aggressive, but we get the job done.
Yeah.
Now, we'll turn the turn signal on when we're like a fucking... just a hair away from your bumper, but we signaled.
Turn right here. All right.
Yeah, no, we do that as well. That Fast and the Furious meme is pretty much all of New Jersey. Just like, oh, that's my signal, especially on the Garden State Parkway, 4 or 5 lanes of traffic. You're driving down and somebody's like, take 135. And you're like looking up and 135 is pointing this way. And you're like, all right, good luck, everybody else. Right turn.
Drive it like you own it. Otherwise, you're not getting there. That's right.
Yeah, this is a good call.
My other pet peeve, if we're talking about anything crazy, I could talk about smoke talk, is when someone's chilling on that joint or the blunt as they're talking about a story. Pass it. Don't sit on it. Don't hound it. You already know what you're doing. People that sit there and, aggressively puff as they're speaking about their story can just, feel free to pass that thing. Dog in the joint, dog in the blunt, whatever is not one of my favorite things. That would be another big pet peeve of mine. If you have a story to tell it as the rotation's going, not as you're the one handling handling the joint, handling the blunt, or any piece you're smoking out of, honestly, because it's happened before with, for me, with even vapes, stationary vapes, where people are just sitting there with the hose and they're sitting on the hose forever. And I'm like, hey, where's my chance on the hose? You're just sitting there on it, boy, So make sure you share the wealth, share the love there. That's another one of my big pet peeves.
Now, would you always call it dogging it? That was a new one for me to add. I was specifically going to ask you what you called it when somebody's holding on to the piece too long.
I would say dogging it. You're just sitting there, a dog with his bone, kind of just sitting there. It's mine. So yeah, I called it dogging it.
My favorite is to say, especially when, because sometimes you'll get those type of people that we're talking about where they're chatty Cathys and they're kind of going, no offense to any Cathys out there who are actually quite introverted and don't say it too much. But if you're not one of those and you're talking with the piece, you might be talking too much. But I also get people who like take it and they just, and that was a long pause for a reason. People, they're just holding it there, just like, and it's not that they're thinking not to. It's just you have to kind of like tap them like, and they go, yeah, okay.
Yeah, the people that are a little too high, not too high. That they're really feeling their medicine at that point. Yeah, no doubt. You got to give them a little nudge. Hey, come on, back to reality. Yeah, we're here.
We're all here again. Yep,
Yep.
Please, to the right, sir.
I love that feeling though, where you get so spacey that you completely forget. That's funny. I love seeing that when you're sitting there and you know what you're doing though, and you're like, trying to get a couple additional puffs off of it.
Oh yeah,
and maybe you didn't throw in on it. That's not a good look on anybody. So good etiquette all around. Yeah.
And going back to the thing though, I'll usually say to them if they're being the talker, I'll be like, got a fucking microphone all of a sudden, or do you need that to talk? Like, what's going on? Keep it going, or something like that. Or the other one I go is somebody it's been said to, like, if you take too long, you bogart it.
Oh yeah, that is definitely something I haven't heard in a long time. That you're just that's yours. That's mine.
Yeah.
That, to me, that's my easiest way of like interpreting Bogart, and it's yours, and that's it.
So there was a guy in the 30s named Humphrey Bogart, and he was a pretty popular actor in many film noirs. One of the ones that I was introduced to, the earliest, was called The Maltese Falcon. And I ended up showing my dad that, and the end of the story is if we'd be smoking, I'd be like, come on, did you find the fucking Maltese Falcon, Bogart? Let's get this going. But other than that, yeah, dogging it is now another one that I'm going to add to that. That's pretty fucking funny.
You're sitting on it like a dog with the bone,
I'm going to add that. Yeah, that's a really good one.
Reminds me of Tom and Jerry, the big dog.
With the red collar, yeah.
With the red collar.
And then what? He had like a little kid, or did he have a nephew? There was a small one that sometimes would get beat up, and then he'd be like, hey, that's the guy that beat me up. And
going off about that, I'm so confused now that you say that. I think that might be his nephew.
Right? I feel like that wasn't
more
actually
like a
his
nephew.
kid for some reason.
Like a sister's.
Because where would he be all the other times?
Yeah.
They couldn't have split up parents. I mean, they could beat the shit out of each other with 2x4s, but to say that he's a single father was not going to be in the question.
That'd be a weird thing.
Isn't that weird? Dude, the 30s cartoons, like, you can find some fucked up shit from back then. They really...
The lore of the 30s and 40s cartoons is very deep.
And it's highly racist.
It's terrible.
They try to pretend like it didn't happen, but we know.
It's bad.
Ooh, we got into some conspiracy theories. That's going to end up in our bro section, actually. One conspiracy theory that you're actually down for. Go.
I believe that one of the biggest things, Area 51. For sure. There was a landing of some sort of UFO. We don't know what it is. I'm not saying alien, but I'm saying extraterrestrial of some sort. And I think there was a cover up, man. I think that's one of my biggest conspiracy theories is there is some type of extraterrestrial being here on Earth that we have either captured or have incarcerated in some way. Yeah, crazy stuff, but yep, that would be the one.
Mine is kind of similar in the fact that there is a Bigfoot and they have him. I don't think that Bigfoot could be around anymore. By now, there's too many drones and spies and cameras and different things like that, but there is a Bigfoot and we have him. We have the missing link and they're keeping him somewhere. I do believe, maybe not Area 51 anymore. They probably had to take all the heat off of it. And now it's somewhere in like Iceland or some shit. But there is like all the freak shit, Have you ever seen the Pixar? No, it's not. It's DreamWorks. Monsters vs. Aliens.
Yes.
I believe that facility that has like the Blob, the missing link, the giant Mothra, and the giant lady,
you're opening things to me. You're opening up things to me. I'm like, yes, that's the type of thing I agree to. Where it's like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there. There's the Loch Ness Monster. There's the Chupacabra. They got him. They got them handled already. How could they not, right? I
agree. I like doing this now. We're going to bookmark this for our next episode so I can start dropping bombs for the next one already and start to plan it. So I'll write that down. Our next bro section, all conspiracy theories.
I'm about
Or just like this one particular thing that apparently we both highly believe in right now.
That's neat, yeah.
Nice. We'll go for that. It's been a great bro section, but we are going to close on out of that door because we have a lot to talk about in the superhero section. Fuck, I mentioned a giant teaser and I forgot it. So, one of the biggest pet peeves is if you have personalized license plates. Do you like those?
I think they're tacky.
Well, apparently Harley Quinn does too, because she'll shoot you if you have them. That was my giant segue. I dropped the fumble on the way in, but we came around for a re-entry there to talk about James Gunn's 2021 The Suicide Squad. So just released this past Friday, that's August 6th, The Suicide Squad, rated R, comes in at 2 hours and 12 minutes. Just for anybody who's unfamiliar, plot synopsis on IMDb reads, supervillains Harley Quinn, Bloodsport, Peacemaker, and a collection of nutty cons at Bel Rev Prison join the super secret, super shady Task Force X as they are dropped off at the remote enemy-infused island of Corto Maltese. Written and directed by James Gunn, this movie has a ton of stars in it. Right here, they're listed as we see them, so we'll just kind of go through them as we talk about them. So right off the bat, as we went into this, sir, how did you like the movie?
I thought the movie overall held a pretty good standard to me. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very interesting. Was a good story. Kind of threw a curveball in 3 different ways, which I thought was pretty interesting. Was expecting one thing, got another. Was expecting one thing again, got another thing again. I like the cast. I really do. I like those actors and actresses a lot. I thought they add a lot of depth to the narrative. But yeah, overall, I thought it was I thought it was a great story. I'm sure some things here and there could have been done a little bit better. Maybe telling the story in more a direct manner than kind of going back and forth for a second there for some people, because I know it's tough to follow a story that way. But overall, I would say I could sit down and watch the movie again. Yes.
Very great. Awesome. Spoiler-free synopsis there. We will go into spoilers right after this. I too found it fun. There were certain points where it just lost me pacing-wise. On your contrary, I enjoyed that it bounced, especially when how it told us it was bouncing. So it would say 2 weeks ago, let's say, or now, and they didn't just do it like a bright flashing text on the screen. It was built into the sand, or it was blown up into flowers, or whatever have you be. Again, trying to stay spoiler-free. That visionary behind James Gunn, that I did find appealing when it was there. There was a few times where I was like, all right, we get it. You did it. It did wear a little thin at the end, but I did like it. Pacing wise, I could have thought, 2 hours and 21 minutes. Warner Brothers got to make up their mind of where they see too long and where they will and won't cut stuff. Because for me, there was a few times where I was like, this movie could be 2 hours and 11 minutes really easily, like 10, 15 minutes after this really would have stepped it up in a few places. But that was just how it is for me. The other thing that you said that I couldn't agree more with is the cast. The cast was so perfect that despite everything I just kind of said, the cast really carried it through, and I wanted to watch all of them from the start to the end, including Margot Robbie, who I did like from the other one. We talked, I think, off mic, but we could bring it up now about the fantabulous Emancipation something with the Birds of Prey movie anyway.
Right.
That was a pretty good one too, and so she was in this and really carried it. And I think for right now, yeah, no. So again, I'm going to say right now, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good, not great. From here on out, faithful listener, we're going to talk spoilers, so you can go into as much detail as you want. If you want to even, do we want to go beat for beat? Yeah, we could kind of start off with the beginning of being the giant red herring of the poster saying, don't get attached. And again, guys, spoilers. 3, 2, 1. The first mission in the first 5 minutes goes awry horribly, and most of the people that you're promised in the opening scenes die. Boom, there it is. So what did you think about that? Let me read them off too, or I'll pull that up as you tell me what you thought.
So honestly, as you said that was the first thing that was the biggest throw off for me. The biggest curveball was the beginning of the movie. I honestly, watching the trailers, I thought a lot of these characters were going to make it through to the end or make it through more than the first 10 minutes. And that was definitely not the case. They had a whole squad that was, we'll jump into that. That was just, that part was written very well. where a diversion team was there, and you saw it. We witnessed it. It was gruesome too. This movie is absolutely gory.
It earns the R for sure. A little bit gratuitous in some places, but I don't mind it in a movie called The Suicide Squad, personally. So I'm sorry to really hammer it in there, guys, because now I'm going to go so super specific. Apologies. Last spoiler, though, for everybody who's like, shut the fuck up, Batman. You said it already. Michael Rooker, Nathan Fillion, Ye Courtney, Flula Borg, Mila Ning. Oh, man, the last name of N and G? How would you pronounce that? Sorry, guys, I don't know. And Sean Gunn, a.k.a. Savant, TDK, Captain Boomerang, Javelin, Mongol, Blackguard. Ooh, yeah, Pete Davidson was in there, sorry. And Weasel all die in the opening shot. It was pretty fucking gnarly. Pete Davidson apparently called them out, but even if he did not sell over his team and cause this bloody of a first scene, I do also believe with what you hinted at earlier of them being a diversion. So the real cast of this movie can then proceed. With that, Harley was in the beginning, and so was Rick Flag. They make it through the thing. But everybody else in the very first mission, the people that you see in the trailer with the backdrop of the American flag, sans Harley Quinn and Rick Flag, all dead within 6 minutes of the fucking movie.
Complete curveball. Like I said, I could not believe it enough. Seeing that was the first spoiler we'll say would be Pete Davidson, a.k.a. Blackguard, literally walking up to a bunch of enemies, kind of admitting they're doing in whatever was going on. It was so confusing at the beginning, and all you see is a bullet come right towards his face and splat. You already knew right then and there that this movie was going to be gruesome.
The biggest one for me that I knew, you know, like I mentioned earlier, the poster says don't get attached. I knew a lot of them were going to die. I thought I kind of had this sense, not as big as it happened. Because I really wanted to see a few more of them do a few more things, especially Captain Boomerang. He's one of the only other people who came from the original. He gets a few lines, but boomsy. And then Mongal is such a weird pull from the DCU. Like, her brother is much bigger in Superman, and like, so I wanted to see her do a few more things, but no, we didn't get a lot of that. Meanwhile, the Beast Squad rolls up on the beach, who is Idris Elba, John Cena, Danielle McCord, David DeSmallchin, and in voice Sylvester Stallone, but in body, I found out that it was actually Steve Agee, who also played John Economos in the Bubble. He was the guy with the curly hair and the glasses. He was the on-set King Shark, as Sly Stallone, did the hand.
Can we go back for a second and say how Weasel was the first character to actually take the L? Seeing whatever that was later on, if you watch the full movie, though, that's what you got to do. You got to watch the whole movie.
All the way to the end.
All the way to the end.
Movie stops,
so the movie stops. Just noticing.
I don't know why we're holding spoilers.
Yeah,
we just said we wouldn't.
Like,
he doesn't actually die. In the first few minutes, it seems like he doesn't even make it off the airship, and he drowns, which was like,
he's fucking dead.
Holy shit, what a weird turn. He drowns.
This is it. Like, he's gone.
But it's also funny, too, is somebody was like, did anybody check to see if he could swim? And everybody kind of looked at each other like, fuck, no, we didn't check to see if he could swim. And he drowns, but at the very end, he kicks up all the water and he runs into the forest. And I was like, what a nice, weird little turn for that.
But this was after everything, all the titles and everything.
Yeah,
it was after everything. I couldn't believe it. So there's that. We'll just cross that off the list first, because that was something that I could not believe. After seeing B Team roll in, and then they kind of took that step back and started talking about, that week later that you were saying, that was when I was like, all right, now we're going to get the premise of everything. And that's when we get to see everybody's little backstory. I thought that was pretty cool. So
we round up all our cast of characters at Bell Rev, and it's really fun. We have Idris Elba, and it's funny. One of my favorite jokes in the thing is somebody's like describing him to him, like, your dad was an asshole and beat you, and now you're a killing machine, and nobody else can do what you do. And like almost 2 to 3 seconds later, we meet John Cena, and he goes, well, what's he doing? And he goes, his dad was an asshole, and now he kills, and nobody could do what he do. And he just helps and goes, that was the same fucking thing you just said to me. I liked that joke because they are very similar, and that kind of rivalry plays off each other from the very first second that they're described to each other throughout the entire movie. So I did like that thread and watching them do it. My favorite breakout character, though, has to come from the people I didn't expect it from, guy, is fucking Dave DeSmallchin, Polka Dot Man. I knew that was going to be really different. I like where they took him. I wish there was a little bit more, because who we got a little bit more was from Ratcatcher 2. And I think she edges him out as like, let's get a Ratcatcher 2 movie. Who the fuck ever thought I would want one? But I want to see her in Ratcatcher 1, who was played by Taika Waititi, who does a great job in that role, the director of Thor Ragnarok. And I want that fucking movie. I want to see that go down because she was brilliant. She has Sebastian, who is a rat, hangs out with her. Catchy. Ratcatcher is her name, funny enough.
Absolutely.
I'm reading here, voiced, if you will, by D. Bradley Baker. Anybody who loves voices almost as similarly as me, first thing I read, and I know that from, is that's Appa and Momo from Avatar The Last Airbender.
There's big love for that guy then. Big love.
On IMDb has 631 credits for voice acting. You know him whether you know him or not from Space Jam, SpongeBob, American Dad, Phineas and Ferb, Star Wars. Like I just said, he's in everywhere. So to see that he was in this movie making fucking rat noises honestly bumps up my review a 0.2 or something. Like, I love that D. Bradley Baker's in this.
This is mind-blowing. As I said earlier, this is big reason anybody would want to see this film is the cast. Whether or not you love John Cena, you want to see what the guy could do. You already know that we're all interested in seeing, a lot of people want to see Pete Davidson right off the jump as a new comedian. A lot of people want to see some of the older people like Idris. We want to see some of the people like Daniela. They want to see some of the people, that we, like you said, Polka Dot Man. Holy smokes, I haven't seen that guy in forever. Like, I feel like I haven't seen him in some film in forever.
He's in a lot of comic book movies. You might recognize him from The Dark Knight. He's the one who's wearing Rachel Dawes' name, and so Harvey Dent's flipping the coin, and he's like, who's next? And I don't know. And Batman swoops in and is like, what did you think you were going to get from him? He's a psychopath. Like, that's Dave DeSmallchin. If you watched Ant-Man, he's the one with Russian accent who has computer technology. He's in this, and there was one more that I read this morning, and I was like, yay, Dave DeSmallchin. He's also in Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, which I love.
So he does a little bit of everything.
He does a little bit of everything. He was really good in, what was I going to go with before that? Oh, yeah, that's right. The last person who I wanted to bring up from the previous mentioned one is I'm happy that we got back Viola Davis. Amanda Waller was perfectly cast, and for that to carry over I was really nervous about that they didn't recast, either put in Amanda Waller as Viola Davis or don't do the character at all. And they didn't do that. They put her in, and she was great, carried through, had the same presence. She is a powerful actor, and she commands this role the way that Amanda Waller fucking deserves, because she's been a boss since I've ever known the character, dude.
Scary boss
in DCAU, dude. She is the best. Like, she looks at Batman and goes, yeah. So to continue on with the story, it's actually quite simple. The team has to break into a place called Jotunheim. Is it Jotunheim?
Jotunheim.
Wherever the Frost Giants in the Marvel Universe live. Right? Or Jelgenheim. It's not Valhalla. It's not Asgard. It's one of the Heims. Okay, whatever. Anyway, from what you've seen from the trailer, it is the big bad of this movie is Starro. The plot twist, the thing that I kind of saw coming because, of course, is that the Suicide Squad went in thinking, we're getting into a foreign thing. It's a foreign thing. Fuck, America has nothing to do with this. And of course, America has everything to do with it. That's why they're there, to make sure that America doesn't get finger pointed on for Giant Star walking around. I kind of saw that coming. If it was somebody else's problem, there's no way America stepping in. That's kind of our MO, It took Pearl Harbor blowing up for us to enter World War II when people were dying by the thousands. We would not step in on Giant Star Creature unless our asses were going to be exposed. But that's just me. So I saw that shit coming.
Honestly, sitting there were a couple moments where you were like, okay, saw that coming. Could see this. But most of the time, there was a handful of time where I was like, whoa, didn't see that coming. Just because I don't know the premise of Starro so much. I don't know if you know the backstory of it, it's probably a little easier to follow what went along. But as someone going in blind into it a little bit, I was like, all right, it did seem like it was, later on halfway through, you're just like, yeah, there's involvement somewhere. Where you could definitely see the United States has their hand in on something larger than they say they do. They always
do, fuckers. In between that, the thing that really kind of killed me with the pacing, but I liked it, but I didn't like it in this movie, was like a mini Harley Quinn movie, where she's kind of kidnapped by a general or a guard who has caused this coup in Corto Maltese, which is a deep DC cut, by the way. He could have put it on any real island, but he chose a fictional Corto Maltese. Like, that's another thing where I was like, yeah, he read a comic book. This is going good. But he's like a general, and he's going to woo her, and they have this whole love montage that lasts a while. And at the end of the day, she gets this awesome fucking moment of like, no, I'm Harley Quinn. I'm nobody's bitch anymore. That's where I think, the kind of, if you have personalized license plates, you die. Because the Joker did on his Lamborghini. And she said, if I ever met a guy like this again who does A, B, C, or D, I'm going to kill him.
I'd kill him.
And the Joker did A, B, C, and D. This guy did A, B, C, and D, so she shot him. And it was awesome. She gets taken captive and has to escape. And I just read this morning, she escapes by pulling a key off a dead guard with her big toe and then lifting her leg to her ankles where she's tied up to get it untied. That was real. That all was shot practically.
Wow.
She really learned that.
She actually did that.
Isn't that fucking dope?
That looked actually pretty intense to watch that. It looked like someone that had perfect ballerina skills, just was able to finesse something so pretty. She did a really good job at her role. But I totally agree. It seemed like it was a Harley Quinn spinoff halfway through the film for a little bit, for where it was like 25, 30 minutes of like, what the hell is going on here? This story could definitely have been told separate or shorter and could have told more of the main plot a little bit more. It did that a couple times. Another one was towards when, I don't want to jump towards the end, but when she's chilling and inside Starro.
Oh yeah, that was a
and that pause for like 5 minutes. It was like 5-6 minutes.
Just rats teardropping in around her.
Yeah, I mean, like, I get they were trying to add, but like you said, you could have made a film 10 minutes shorter easily. For a couple, maybe even more than that. You probably could have made done this film in 1:58, like an hour 58, 2:10 tops.
Agreed. Yeah. I would have run it at 2:05. I don't know why the 1:25 runtime just seems so good to me, but that's personally what I would enjoy. The thing that they gave away in the trailer that kind of bothered me was during this mini movie, the Suicide Squad, now that they're assembled, Rick Flag has been picked up by the B Squad and they have to save Harley Quinn to go on to do exactly what I just said in the end of the building. And they have to rescue her. Meanwhile, she breaks her way out and they ruin it in the trailer of like, wait, what are you guys doing here? And it's like, we're here to rescue you. And she's like, oh, you guys are so sweet. And I was like, fuck, that could have been a cool little something if you left that in, but it was ruined. And
yeah, that was actually a snip that you're right. It could have made something a lot cooler, but you were like, oh, I was anticipating this.
We know what's going to happen. Like, we know she's going to escape now.
Right.
We always knew she was.
Right. But it would have been a lot funnier to see it as it was happening than previously in a trailer.
Could not agree anymore. Filling this out a little bit more, I want to go back to Dave DeSmulchin, who plays Polka Dot Man, whose powers have been a little bit changed here. His storyline is one that I want to talk about, of being the weirdest curveball of this movie to me. So these polka dots come out of him and destroy matter, almost burn it, incendiary it. And he comes from this cosmic rash that he has, a fourth or fifth dimensional rash, if you will, that causes him to fill up with these polka dots. And there's scenes where, like, It is literally almost like a mumps patient or somebody with elephantitis on the face, but glowing polka dotty. And he's got to like, it seems like the first time he purged them. Yes, good point. So later in the movie, when he's using them as weapons, it looks like he's able to like filter them out of his hands. But I think in the first one, he was literally purging, i.e. vomiting them up, like could not get them out quick enough.
Yakking them up. I saw that.
Weird
I was
turn,
like, whoa. Bro. It was like all shiny and pretty and stuff like that. And I was like, this is intense. And then they I thought the part that threw me off was like, okay, we're going to also make him schizophrenic. And he's also going to be terrified of his mother. Like, I was sitting there like, whoa, they really added some depth to this character. You're absolutely right.
His first line is Idris Elba looks at him and goes, we're all going to die. And he goes, I hope so. So later on, now he's filling up with all these things and they're talking more. And he talks about how we can really only channel them well when he's thinking about killing his mother. And he keeps bringing up how his mother gave him his powers, gave his brother and sisters their powers. And like, he's got a mad mommy complex to the point where it goes one above anything that I really honestly was expecting to see. The biggest curveball of them all is he sees everybody as his mother, but with their attributes. So like we got a rat catcher mom, we got a king shark mom, we got all of the different moms. And then later on, when Starro was destroying the city, we get a giant scary kaiju mom. And
I was dying about that. Yeah.
That was a weird aspect that I loved though. Like that is a weird fucking take, bro.
And taking that and moving in on that when the dance scene happened.
That was another good one.
Oh my gosh. You saw him actually like sitting there grinding on his mom. Like, what?
A friend of mine, Mark, shout out, gave a good thing of like, what is it with all these places and like dancing lately? You know, we got a dance scene in Falcon the Winter Soldier. We get dance scenes here and there all over the place. I said, this one can stay because of that shot where he's dancing with the different versions of his mom as themselves. Like, fucking trippy. What a weird dude that guy is.
I was dying. I thought that was definitely one of the most hysterical moments of the movie, sitting there watching him dance with his mom. Oh, all versions of everybody as his mom.
It was fucking weird. But that was something that I liked, and it was small enough that it went through and we got to the end quite nicely. Speaking of which, we do get to the building that, what are we going with? Jotunheim. And of course, once again, I'm sorry to sound like a snob or a know-it-all or a fucking piece of shit blowhard. I knew that the John Cena thing wasn't going to go well in terms of the mission. I knew that there was going to be a point where one thing was going to stand in front of the other and there was going to be that thing, you know? Like it's so fucking cliche that he was going to get information that, like I said, that America was in on this. Rig flag on one side saying the people have to know. And then we have the Peacemaker, aka John Cena, on the other side saying, I've been told not to do that. And he's going to kill Ratcatcher 2 over it. It leads to a whole battle that once again kind of seemed fruitless in the fact of like, they've been plastering Peacemaker series. Come to HBO Max soon. So it's like, we know we're going to see more of this fuck. So the second end credit scene of him being alive was kind of like, okay.
Saw it coming.
But with that, I thought that the writing was so snarky that at the very end, when these two people go to pick him up, somebody asked them, well, what do you need him for? And I swear to Christ, I thought they were going to look at her all serious, like right into the camera and go, an HBO show. That would have been a much better ending.
We're all the money in the world.
Yeah, exactly. We need subscribers. But that movie is, or that show is coming out. So him kind of being the double agent douchebag was another thing that I saw of just like, okay, but it works out beautifully in terms of like how it ends.
I had no idea Peacemaker show was coming out.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Spoilers.
Yeah. Well,
Peacemaker show's coming out.
But yeah, like you said, that was kind of a given that it was foreshadowing throughout the entire film. Peace at any cost. I'd kill a million kids for peace.
Yeah.
If there was a whole, he was explaining the field with the bag of dicks was one of the best parts of the movie. You got to watch the film. Just kind of the absurdity of what he would do for the peace. Yeah. So, using that, I would say that was the foreshadowing throughout the film, saying, yeah, there was going to be a part of him where like, nah, I'm not going to do it. The group wants.
Right thing because the government needs different for peace.
Right.
Which, kind of going back to conspiracy theory, just a hint, just a touch, because we don't want to go too far down. is I can kind of agree with that sometimes of like what we were talking about with Roswell. Like if it really happened, if it sent close to 2 billion people into a panic versus not telling them and nobody panics. One makes peace, but it's also false peace because it's built on a lie and all that shit. And that's exactly what John Cena's character is all about. Of we're going to keep that thing a fucking secret because we can't have this crazy thing of thinking America would bring a giant starfish creature to the planet and have it take over. Like the more people it takes over, the bigger it gets. So that's how it gets to such kaiju levels. And like having the people hurt with it and all that imagery that he did with that, like, you know, if it got hurt in their leg, all the hosts grabbed their leg. I really had fun with that at that end battle. It was a really good finale.
I thought it was I had no clue. Like you showed me the picture of your trunk, or that's a trunk, right? You showed me a picture of a trunk and that had everybody with the star on the face, and I was like, I thought this was almost like an original idea almost at first, because I don't follow the lore as deep sometimes. So I was sitting there and I was like, this is a new character, this is that. And you're like, no, this is old school stuff coming back to reality. I was like, this is awesome. All right. Now, you know, I thought they took a good approach on it. And seeing everybody go through the same pain, everybody go, ow. I thought that was hysterical.
It was cool. It was a good detail.
It was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Everyone's supposed to feel the same thing.
They're all unified through the Great Starro.
And I thought it was silly, but now that you're talking about it and you're like, no, it's actually happened before. No, that's pretty cool. I think maybe they did it right. The color looked right, the size was neat. The idea of how it wrapped around the head was perfect.
So it really goes back to the first time the Justice League. It's not the first appearance of the Justice League, because some might remember that from, I believe it's The Brave and the Bold, where they're sitting playing chess with, oh yeah, it's that guy. That's the number one. But pretty much like I'm showing them right now, and I'll put it up in the video, probably going to be inside the thumbnail, whatever. Anyway, Starro versus the Justice League, like, yes, it is an old school thing that's coming back, and I thought that was quite daring, you know. It was weird and cool in the way that he ended up playing it. The last thing, so Starro thinks, but when a person has a Starro on their face, they speak for him. And the last thing he says was like, I was just cool drifting in space. Like, you fucks brought this upon me. And it's a gorgeous King Kong kind of moment of, you know, 'twas beauty that killed the beast kind of moment of like, he was just doing his shit. We fucked his day up, so he took it out on us, and now we kill him, and like he's the monster. It was a gorgeous piece of kind of ending that I didn't see coming. You know, blowing up a monster, I thought it'd be like, all right, now we're done, or like, who ordered the calamari, or just something stupid. But it ended with like an actual feeling of like, I was fine just floating around looking at the stars. I loved that piece of it.
So using Starro was probably one of the best to fill in as any type of villain, quotation mark.
It's got to be a situation that a team of these characters have to come together. It's got to be balls to the wall. You know, that's why I like the Snyder Cut so much. You know, yeah, Steppenwolf is pretty hard to beat, but not for Superman, not in real life. Darkseid is. So having that need to defeat Darkseid is a good reason for the Justice League. A good reason for many of these DC characters, villains, if you want to call them anti-heroes, blah, 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 has to be as good as their villain. And Starro, whether or not he's a villain or, you know, like we're talking about, the monster behind it, blah, 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 he was a big enough threat that I was like, I fucking buy this. And like we're talking about in canon's sake, I was like, we're really doing this? Like, we're really fucking doing this right now. Like, this is crazy. Tell me 10 years ago we're going on-screen Starro. I wouldn't have believed you. I really, truly wouldn't have. And I was like, that's not going to be cool. And this was one of the parts of the movies. I think I said it earlier of how I felt about the movie was wishy-washy. If the cast wasn't what it was, and if Starro wasn't what it was, this would have flopped for me. Everything in between is kind of okay, but the cast really carried it, and then Starro at the end really paying itself off. And like I'm talking about, that last line, boom. It was a great way to end this movie.
Looking at this picture with you now, I'm sitting here and I'm like, never would they ever make a film about this. I couldn't see it now. Like, I mean, it doesn't look like it would be too poppy, too pop culture for what some of the superhero stuff has become. And they took it and they ran with it. I thought it was neat. I really liked the color. I liked the idea of, the helpless giant floating through the abyss of of space, and we were the ones that fucked up, and then it's a villain. There's no hate until we cause it, until we create it, and we created it. So yeah, Starro was a real cool villain, I'll say.
A real good end threat, we'll call him.
I thought it was neat, really well written in, and to see our characters so they didn't have the ability to have the stars attached to their face. They were kind of like above that a little bit, just you saw two, the team equaled out to be what Starro was. So the threat equaled out the team. I like that.
Yes, it wasn't going to be an obvious win, and it came at the very end from the character that I mentioned, and maybe why, too, she stands out so much at the very end is the way that Starro dies 100% at the end. Again, sorry, guys, spoilers, is the rats. There's like a stampede of, I don't know numbers that well, 100,000 rats?
The rats.
200,000 rats? 500 million rats? I don't know.
It covered the city.
It covered up a kaiju giant Starro. And it just bit into all of his shit. And yeah, it was pretty gnarly. We do talk about Harley Quinn jumps into the eye of Starro. We mentioned earlier, we get another mini movie there of all these rats also jumping in. And it's a liquid. And then they go and find the arteries and the capillaries and just start chewing away. And then she's in this pool of blood kind of shit with a javelin.
It was intense.
It was weird.
It was intense. It was a little weird. It was, like I said, that was about 5-6 minutes. That could have been wrapped up a little shorter. Starro was huge though. It did take a while, but wow. Honestly,
one bite at a time. Yeah.
I was sitting there my mouth was open. I was like, whoa, I didn't kind of expect that to be the end factor, the end game there, but it did make sense. Rats are rats.
And there's a lot of them everywhere always, and they're crazy.
They're crazy. They'll eat
crazy
anything.
To survive. Hell,
and
yeah.
She was crazy too. I like that.
I did, but she was also, I liked everything about her character, so let's get a Ratcatcher. I would rather see a Ratcatcher 2 series than a Peacemaker series at this point.
King Shark series.
Yeah, last guy. We should really touch on him quickly. He doesn't get much lines, but he is fun to watch throughout. I like that there's finally somebody I can cosplay as, so I'm going as King Shark first chance I get. Me without a shirt on looks exactly like King Shark, bro, so I'm going to be going for that. He was a great standout character. All in all, it was a great experience. It was a good experience. I'm having more fun talking with you about it than I had watching it.
It was funny because I think all of these, there was a couple characters that had their own film, almost little short film. And King Shark had their own little short film for a little bit when they were chilling in the aquarium part. Oh, I'm having fun.
Yeah, with whatever the fuck
with whatever the hell those things
Never
were.
Explained that.
Never explained it.
I don't mind that either. I like that it was just a weird little...
Just a random little short story. It happened often in that film. I thought it was pretty neat, for sure. Yeah. King Shark, great addition. Hilarious.
Really, really good.
Funny how much he makes off of just doing nothing.
Yep. Very minimal lines, but he's somewhat scary yet adorable. It's very strange how they played that off. He'll rip you in half, but if you're his friend, he might hug you.
Honestly, one of the best parts of the film was that part where everything was raining and they couldn't see anything.
And he ripped him in half.
I was like, that was sick.
That'd be a killer tattoo.
That was honestly really cool. There's parts that were just so well written, but then the parts that made it bad were the parts that were so obvious, I would say, to me.
Mm-hmm. But all in all, on a scale of 1 to 10 here, what would you give it?
I would give it an above. I would say it is in my eyes, it's above a 7, but not quite an 8.
Fuck me, sir. I swear to God, in my head, I was going 7.5. We're at the same page. It's
right about a
C+,
7.5.
bro.
Yeah, it deserves its work. It deserved a little bit more work, but it all in all offered I would see it in theaters. If I would pay for a movie ticket to go see it, if I pay for a subscription for HBO. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I might. I did get it on HBO, but a few friends are also talking about going to see theaters. So if we go, obviously you're invited. But I might go back to spend the money for it just because I like the screen. I miss the screen. Right now, Ghostbusters is the only thing 100% getting me back in, but Until then, this might do it. I don't know. Once again, I think that I've had more fun talking with you about it than actually watching it.
And that's one of the
talking
things.
about the idea of, oh man, you want to get a bunch of guys together and we'll go, and we'll, like, that's more fun. I bet I'd be sitting there going, well, this is fucking stupid. I've seen this. I don't know. Maybe next time.
No,
but
totally.
overall, 7.5, I would say.
I liked it. Yeah. I think sitting in a movie theater, like you said, sitting, discussing it with somebody, if you're sitting there with somebody else in a theater, you guys would have the same type of interaction where it's like, what the hell?
Yeah,
You
exactly.
see that? I saw that. Holy shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely real cool stuff to talk about with a friend.
Yeah. Sir, thank you so much for coming here and doing this episode. It was very, very fun to do this live and in person. Definitely going to have you back again. It was a pleasure. Great talks here. Thank you for coming out. Just in case anybody has forgotten from the first few times, once again, please, if they want to hear more, see more of you and your awesome cannabis knowledge, where can they go to find some more?
Hop on right on to Instagram, NortheastPA_Canna, CANNA. Just here to spread the wealth and knowledge of cannabis. Knowledge is power. And it goes a long way, especially with this plant. So I'm here to help everybody in this state and anybody that just wants to learn about it, learn more. So again, thanks for having me. I really appreciate even stepping up and swinging by and discussing some nerd stuff, man. I love nerd talk, so this has been great.
Good, dude. I'm glad you had a fun time. Definitely going to have you back for another one. Thank you. And thank you to all the listeners out there. Final time I'm going to ask, if you could, it would be nice, go on the internet to your Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all those fun things. Hit the subscribe, follow, like, YouTube. Man, some more subscribers would be fun there too. But if you can't do any of that, I understand. People got busy days. But what you can do, guys, human interaction. Talk to your friends. Tell them about the show. Because I guarantee if you know a person who likes Buds, Bros, or superheroes, have I got a fucking show for you. My name has been Nick James.
And I'm Danny G.
This is Buds, Bros, and Superheroes, and we are out of here.